I'm Emma. I'm currently studying law at the University of Bristol.
Hi, I'm Thaqif. I'm a second year. Well, I'm going to my third year at the University of Cambridge studying history and politics. And welcome to Mindful Conversations, a series of podcasts developed and produced by the Green Ribbon Group. Welcome, guys. Yeah. So, Emma, how are you?
I'm okay. I'm happy that I'm back for summer. It was a stressful second year. How are you on the other hand?
Okay lah, macam-macam tu je lah. Like, I'm happy I'm back. We'll talk more about that later. But it's our almost relatively stressful second year. But yeah, I heard a lot happened before you flew back. Tell me
Oh,
about
we had an interesting week, didn't we?
right?
We had an interesting week. In London for a week, we were shadowing and interning with the Green Ribbon Group.
Yeah, amazing opportunity.
Yeah, for the World Congress of
Mental health. Yes.
And we went to a couple of events here and there, which I thought was very, very interesting. It was my first time doing stuff
Same
like
here.
that.
No, like, I think what was very interesting because it was our first time as well. It was like you were learning on the go.
I was so scared.
I felt that people wouldn't take me seriously.
Yeah.
But like I was happy that
Yeah.
there are people who are genuinely interested in what we have to say.
That's true.
Yeah. So tell me about like one of the events lah, so that our listeners can know.
The event that I think was had the most impact on me was the roundtable at the High Commission. We were together with like Education Malaysia, UKEC, and the World Federation of Mental Health
But
and
like
stuff
the
like that.
fact that we knew half of the people, but
That
we
was
didn't even know
crazy.
that was like.
They're like people from my uni that I've never met.
Is this a reunion?
But yeah, no, that was very interesting. It was very nice to be able to talk about my own mental health struggles with people that were willing to listen to me. Because there were also like, it wasn't just students, it was students and adults as well. So, we got a lot of, we could see like two different sides talking about issues like that. And that was very, almost comforting for me.
Yeah, no, I see what you're saying there because like it helps being in a room full of Malaysians as well.
Yeah.
Because I think it's very hard to talk about mental health in a room where people they don't fully understand where you're coming from.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I feel that how we interpret mental health is also very much based on like the way we were brought up, the cultures that we were introduced to, the country that we
Everyone views it differently.
Yeah,
so it's nice to like see different points of views on like stuff like that.
Yeah, and the food was amazing.
The food was really good. Some really good
Yeah,
popiahs.
So I guess everybody wins.
Yeah, win-win situation.
Yeah.
What about you?
Yeah, I think you know as well because like after that roundtable, we went to this fancy schmancy like reception hosted by the World Mental Health Federation, which is I think the first event like that I've been to because
fancy schmancy.
Fancy like the
High
tea
tea
and the scones. No, I felt like I was in downtown Abbey for most of it. And the fun part was that like here you are in a room full of like some of the pioneers of mental health,
exactly.
like academia. Wait, how do you pronounce it? Academia? There you go. And yeah, like again, kind of I was mentioning earlier that like I was scared. I kind of macam budak uni.
Yeah.
Like
we didn't know what we were doing.
Yeah.
It was all new, very new experiences.
Yeah. And it was just nice to know that like there was a group of people like proper scientists here, like who knew what they're doing, but they were also very open to new ideas, suggestions. I felt that I was welcomed by them very much.
And we were like one of the only people in our age group. Everyone else was like at least
we were the kids
20
of the table,
years older than us.
We sat at the kids' table for that one for sure.
We were stuffing our faces with scones the whole night.
Yeah. So, like those events were great. But like let's go back a bit. Let's go take the time machine and like go a few months back to the end of second year. I want you to tell me a bit like what are your reflections like being in the UK for almost 2 years, number one, but also like I think the second year was much more interesting for us because COVID, at least in the UK, was very much almost non-existent, if that makes sense. So how did that make you feel? Like what were your thoughts?
To be honest, like jumping from first year to second year was such a big change for me because obviously we went from like lockdown, COVID, and stuff like that. I couldn't leave my flat and quarantining and stuff like that. And then you go to second year where like all these restrictions are just gone, and like it was just
It's a free for
they
all.
literally like
bloodbath.
threw you in there. Yeah. No, yeah. Definitely experienced a really big change in my life jumping from first year to second year. I'm not sure that's the same for you, but personally in second year, I think it was quite difficult mentally, I would say, because I'm not really sure. Like I would expect because everything's open and like there's no more restrictions that like I would feel so much better. But I wouldn't feel so suffocated by like staying inside all the time. But that wasn't the case. I struggled a lot with like my anxiety this second year, and I found it really. I don't know. I had a lot more friends than I did in first year, but at the same time, I also felt more lonely, which is kind of weird. In some
Interesting.
yeah, like you would think like, oh, I'm surrounded by all these people, but yeah, it was difficult for me in that sense, and especially with the jump from like first year syllabus to a second year syllabus. And
No, I know what that means.
you know exactly
First year,
what
you
I
think
mean.
like, oh, you know, I got this in the bag.
Yeah, and then second year you're like, oh, wait.
Is this for me?
Yeah, am I in the right path? Like
Right path.
questioning all these kind of things. Yeah, especially I would say like the most difficult thing for me was my anxiety at that point. And like, you know, just constant like, overthinking. Am I doing enough? You know, should I be like enjoying myself like
Yeah,
other people are? You
that
compare
balance is
yourself
always
to other
hard.
people, right? So yeah, it was definitely a roller coaster of emotions for me second year, definitely.
But like, what were like this? I think like, yeah, that sounds very hard. I'm so sorry that happened to you. But like, what were the things that you thought like really helped you out, especially like through like darker times of second year?
When like I get into these like spirals, it was like really hard for me to leave my house. It was even like hard for me to get out of bed sometimes. I would just stay in bed for like days and like only leave my room to eat and like come back and just do the same thing. But I feel like it's very, very important that you need to like kind of force yourself to like get out of that mindset. Kind of like I personally enjoy dancing a lot and I went for a lot of dance classes. So even if I wasn't feeling the great,
You were bopping. Bopping. Yes.
it was great. It was great, fun classes and stuff. But I would make it a thing where I would deliberately force myself to get out of bed and go for these classes because it was the only time that I didn't have to think about all of this stuff going on in my head. So that really helped me. And obviously, I'm very lucky that I have like a really good support system in the UK, my friends and stuff like that.
That's nice to hear.
Yeah. But what about you though?
Yeah, no, I feel that.
Let me hear some
Pick my
stuff.
brain out, you know what I mean? No, yeah, I think second year, if I had to put it in a sentence, it would be emotional roller coaster. Because there was no more COVID,
Yep.
and because everything was open, I've had the highs of highs, but I've had my lowest lows as well. And I think that comes to me being exposed to a bigger group of friends or a bigger group of peers. I think in my first year, because of the COVID bubble that the UK imposed, you know, my friend group, they're amazing. Like shout out to them. But first year they were controlled. If that makes sense, because you couldn't really meet as many people. In second year, like you're definitely like opened up to this new like ecosystem or jungle of people, and some might be, you know, new friends. Some might be like not new friends. You know, like
No, I get what you're saying.
change, people change, but I think second year as well, because I was talking to more people, there was this deeper sense of imposter syndrome. I've always felt like, I think this is exacerbated by the fact that like my university is, I think yours as well, is predominantly white.
Yeah.
Predominantly upper class. Families have gone there for generations.
Yeah.
And it's hard sometimes to sit next to someone talking about their dad who's like, you know, done this, done that, they're doing this, they're doing that, and not feel like that. Like, why am I here? Can I say damn? Hope so. I'm like, oh gosh, why am I here?
Yeah, no, I get that.
And it was really difficult, especially I think second year was also a year of like, I always say rejection is redirection, so I wouldn't say it was a year of rejection. It was a big year of redirection.
Look at the positives.
Yeah, positives of it. But yeah, so I think second year was hard because it was just a lot of adapting, and
Yeah.
sometimes like, because I think uni is also so very fast paced, especially when it opens up, everyone wants to meet everyone. So you really have to find that balance between like work, personal time, and social time. And I think the main reason why I was burnt out by the end of second year is because my social battery was dry, like
Yeah.
dry like the desert, dry like shake in the water. You know what I mean? Like, I've never said that before, but the juices are flowing from there. Yeah, I think I always thought that I was extroverted. I think.
Yeah.
But now I might be thinking that maybe I'm slowly
Moving
going to
towards
my
that side.
ambivertness.
Yep.
And I think you can relate to this. I feel that we're 22 by the way, guys. Like I think once you close your sweet 21,
Oh yeah.
you enter like a new phase.
Yeah, it's like I don't even know how to explain it.
I feel like
It feels
I'm old but young. Like I balik
I
kadang-kadang
feel-
balik kerja sakit belakang.
Yeah.
Nak urut.
Yeah. But it's a big jump.
Yeah, I
Early
think.
20s I think is
And
a
it's
very
just, yeah.
important time.
I think there's a lot of emotional maturity, but again, every form of growth is a struggle, right?
Yeah.
So there's always going to be that initial point in which you're like, why am I not like myself? Why am I doing something wrong? Is this natural? Am I the only one? I think that's the worst part of feeling like burnt out or like, anxious in uni. It's like you always feel that this is a lonely fight. But no, but things that help, because I asked you things that help.
Yeah.
And I think people would like to know. So, disclaimer, I'm still like learning how to heal. There's still a lot of like, I wouldn't say open wounds, but there's still a lot of like issues that I'm still like every day like trying to find a jumping point into which I can like grow from it.
Yeah.
Because I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. Like, yeah, a lot of things were like very hard to swallow. Things were hard to swallow, so hard to accept, and it does take time. And I think that, and I don't think people should be afraid of taking that time.
Yeah.
I don't think mental health is something that can change like that. It's something that grows with you, and I think that's the beauty in it as well, because you're always learning.
That's true.
So, but regardless, saying that, again, amazing friends, totally understood how I felt, were always there for me. The good thing about being in the UK as well was that, like, I don't know, I feel that like, not UK uni, is just that people are just much more open,
Yeah.
and some people do care as to like, we always ask each other, how are you, right? But like, how are you? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
I know what you mean.
like,
Exactly.
do people actually care what you answer? And I felt that when I was at uni, people actually did, so it was like quite nice.
Yeah.
And I meditated a lot as well.
Meditated. So yeah, definitely. I think like asking people how they are like definitely makes a big change. There are definitely people that like get a bit more scared to like open up and stuff like that. So I think asking people, taking the first step, really helps these people try and open up just a bit. So I think that's really important, which is nice, especially. What I was gonna ask you was, obviously you said both of our universities are both like predominantly white. Did you find it hard, like opening up to them? Obviously we have like cultural differences and stuff like that.
Yeah, definitely. At the beginning, I was like, like there's always this fear. Like I always fear that sometimes when I see my friends in uni, I'm not being my true self, and I feel that's unfair to me and unfair to them as well. Because I feel that like you should live your truth, or like be the most genuine. That's like I'm like that kind of person. I try to be the most genuine version that I am. But it can feel lonely being like the only person to have experienced some things that the collective has not thought about before. To them, like Malaysia was some faraway country, 14 hours on flight. You know, things like, you know how people in Malaysia like to make jokes like lawak. I can't. Lawak lah, lawak. Macam Maharaja lawak, like that kind of jokes. Lawak B, we call it.
It's
lawak
different.
B. It's different.
Yeah.
So like, I felt that I had to change, and I think because of that it was so frustrating because I don't want to, but sometimes I feel like that's the only way I could have survived.
You have to adapt in these
It's a social
situations.
jungle, isn't
Yeah.
it? Yeah. If you don't eat, you get eaten. Period.
No, but I agree completely because I'm like in my house. There's 7 of us, and I'm the only international student. So when I first got there, I found it like quite difficult to like, because I don't know if we have the same beliefs and stuff like that, especially like with religion and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I didn't know if me opening up to them would be as easy as it was if I were to open up to someone that was from Malaysia. But thankfully, all like it went so well, and now I have like friends that
That's good.
I believe will be there for like a really long time.
I think like a good case in point, I'm just gonna bring it back. Like a good case in point that I have like cultural difference that's a bit hard was when my grandmother passed when I was in uni. So I was like really far, you know.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. The way that I grieve because of my religion and my culture is obviously different than the way my friends grieve, right?
Yeah.
So I think that time, and I don't blame anyone because again, like, you know, these things happen. You just have to accept it, right? Sometimes. But during that time, it was quite difficult lah because, you know, how do you express to someone like who doesn't believe in God, for example, like religion, what happens after dying, the afterlife, and things like that. How do you, and especially when when the wound is still so fresh, you just want people to just like, you know, say the right things, but obviously, you know, sometimes you don't get that. So yeah.
It's an experience. Just go very deep.
I hope so. I hope you guys are still listening. I hope we've not like discouraged you from listening.
But going back to the whole friends thing, I just wanted to like properly stress out there like how important it is to have like good support system around you. Obviously, this whole mental health thing is not just an individual thing. It's not just like me against my mental health issues, but like, it's like a community thing. And as a community, I think it's so important that we understand that, you know, there's so many different types of like mental health issues, and not everyone experiences them the same way. Like, for example, someone with anxiety might deal with it differently, might show different signs. And I think that if we stereotype mental health, it could be damaging because you end up like invalidating the other person, right?
Exactly.
So with mental health, I always think that it's just like a constant learning process.
It's always like, for example, like if let's say someone finds out that someone's been going through a lot, Instagram okay je?
Yeah.
Like, you know, like
you just don't know.
You don't know what that person's gone through.
Exactly.
I think.
Yeah. So I think it's important that we keep being, you know, understanding to each other.
And I think speaking on that idea of community, right? I think friends are your chosen family, if that makes sense. And I feel that everyone should have the like self-respect in like keeping in touch or like continuing friendships with like people who they care about and their friends care about them.
Yeah.
And to walk away from toxic relationships.
Yeah, especially.
Yeah.
Exactly. There was, you know, in dealing with like mental health and that, do you find like, how would you find like the easiest way to like recognize that you're going into like these kind of spirals and stuff like that? Because I feel like the easiest way to stop, you know, it from getting out of hand is if you recognize that, oh, this is happening.
Yeah. No, it definitely takes some practice because sometimes you feel that your body can take it. You know, you're like, I'm just going to be a spiral. I can think my way out of this for sure. But I think one thing that's definitely helped me is this grounding mechanism. So if you see yourself in a spiral, like, be aware of the present. And I know that's so simple to say be aware of the present, but I think what has helped me was like, I found this online. But it's helped for me. So I don't know whether this is like a true thing that people use, but it does work for me. Is to I think turn on all 5 senses. So like I think it's like wherever you are, identify 3 sounds. Like look for 5 objects. Hear like try to like, did I say hear already? Let's do it again. So So there's a hierarchy. So you try to hear two things, like identify them what you're hearing. You try to like smell for three things.
Yep.
Look for four things, and feel five things.
Okay.
Yeah. So it makes you aware that, okay, this is who I am.
It just brings
Like,
you back
I can
to the
feel
present.
Yeah. So it's like whatever's in the past,
Just
just like
get rid of it.
in the past lah, right?
Yeah. I mean, obviously, we're not saying that you should just
Yeah,
like
don't
throw
sweep it under the
counter
rug,
and
but
stuff
like
that.
choose your battles. You can't
Yeah.
fight every battle all at once.
I feel like it's important that you know how to deal with it yourself as
I
well.
think this is where we put the disclaimer that we are not mental health professionals.
In no way.
In no way.
Shape or
This is
form.
our this is our personal experience. But remember, there are professionals and counselors that are always there to help. There are also helplines. If you need any help, or if you need access to any of these helplines or hospitals
Yep.
and like psychiatrists and counselors, do go to the Green Ribbon Group website. We have our resources page.
There's a whole list of
Yeah.
different resources out there.
All that can help you there. What do you think about therapy?
Therapy, obviously, I would say, is the most proper way of, getting treated and stuff like that. But at the same time, it might not be as accessible to everyone. So like I said, it's not just like, oh, I feel this way, I'm gonna go get therapy. I mean, obviously, it's advisable, but it might not be accessible, like I said, and finding the perfect therapist is also a process. Like sometimes this therapist might not suit you, and it's like you have to keep changing, finding one that does suit you. So in that kind of way, it might not be for everyone.
As someone who's gone through that process of jumping government hospitals trying to find the best one, just to someone to talk to, I do feel that it's a fight.
Yeah,
you have to it is quite a struggle, but I think with the right people, you just have to keep your head up.
Which is why I keep saying that
optimistic.
Even though obviously professional help is always the better way of doing things, I feel like it's important for you to understand yourself, like how I can help myself, how I can help other people as well, so that, like I said, it's a community thing. It's not just me versus my own mental health.
I'll just say that being self-aware, being, I think, sensitive to what your mind and your body needs, and also being aware of the community and the environment that you surround yourself is key, I think.
Definitely.
To maintain again, I think people, whenever we talk about mental health, they always think about mental illnesses only, which I don't think is a thorough picture of mental health. Mental health is also taking care of yourself, taking care of your general well-being, and it affects every single person.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think mental health is exactly the same as physical health.
Period.
you should look after your mental health as much as you look after your physical health. And also mental health affects physical health as well. So
badan cergas,
otak cerdas. I think we've reached the end of our time for today's episode.
Again, thank you so much for joining us. And
of course,
if anything, the main takeaway of this is always have this mindful conversation. You can have it with anyone. There is even though you think that you might be alone, there is someone out there that is willing to listen. Me and Emma had an amazing conversation. Thank you for listening.
And don't forget, if you need more information on mental health and other things like resources and stuff, follow greenribbongroup.my on Instagram, as well as look at their website.
And TikTok. Show us some love, guys. Bye.